Welcome to Detox Your Daily Habits, the show where we have raw and vulnerable conversations around spirituality, get real about how messy personal growth is, and bring to light the truths of how hard it is to break through your limiting beliefs in order to trust your higher self.
Hi guys, and welcome back to Detox. It is episode 4, and we are ready to tell you a little bit about comparisonitis.
Which honestly we probably don't even have to tell you about, because I feel like in this day and age is something we all suffer with.
And all have experienced definitely like firsthand.
And especially in the form of social media.
Heck yeah.
And scrolling, and how it can really affect not only our mindsets, but how we approach life.
Yep, absolutely. And so we are going to get into it. First off, let's talk about what comparison is, comparisonitis, right?
Yes.
So it's pretty much us projecting what we feel is unmet within ourselves. So if we feel that someone else has a life, or someone isn't doing something right, because we're projecting onto them in a sense of like, I don't have that life, so now I'm sad, but really you have everything that you need within you. So
yes, and there's healthy comparison and toxic comparison, which we're going to get into both forms a little bit. I'll just let Dakota start.
I was going to let you start.
Oh, okay. I will start. Let's go. So first, let's just get the background of healthy comparison versus toxic comparison, which healthy comparison is when you see a friend doing well in a sport and you want to do just as well, and y'all compete with each other and make each other faster or stronger,
and you look at them for inspiration rather than
motivation.
Rather than, oh wow, they're better than me, I'm over it. It's like, oh shit, yeah, I want to be as good as them. I want to do as good as them.
Exactly. And you can look at someone and be motivated by it and enjoy that process, and it can be more of a happy sensation instead of you sitting back and being like, oh, I can never have that. Oh, I'm not rich enough. Oh, I'm not smart enough for that. Oh, my body's not good enough for that. And really making it a toxic situation for you. Mm-hmm. And these are all projections. And so anytime you feel that if you see something and it triggers something in you, then there's energy behind that. Like Dakota was saying, it needs to either be healed, or you need to own that part of yourself and really allow yourself to be like, no, I am that good. No, I do have that opportunity. It is something that can be, if you spot it, you got it. It's within you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Wherever you are, whatever you're doing is exactly where you need to be. So if you find yourself comparing a lot in a negative way, then you're resisting what is for you, what's true for you. This is your path. You can never, ever be too far behind or lacking in any way of sense. And when we start to compare, we're coming from a lack mindset and not an abundance mindset. Like, because that person has it, then I can't have it. Or because that person has this, then it's not meant for me, when that's not true. This world is so abundant. And
there's enough to go around, guys. Absolutely. And you can always accomplish what someone else does as well. But the good thing is like, when you stop comparing yourself, you get to accomplish it in your own ways. Like, with your unique abilities and characteristics and like who you are, you get to accomplish it in the way that you are meant to be accomplishing it.
Yes, and I feel like talking about something as big as comparisonitis is huge for us right now, because we live in a world where that's all we're fed is someone's highlight reels, and being online is a huge part of our lives, and we're spend so much time looking into the lives of other people, and it can cause us to really sit back and feel less worthy and like we're not doing good in life because we don't have that, and really make us full of anxiety and depression, and suicide rates are higher than they've ever been because of this life. And especially in the younger generations, it's so important that we turn the narrative around and really shed light on the fact that what we see online isn't real life. Some people, yes, maybe, but the majority of people on there are faking their perfection and faking things. And when you have rates that are, like, for reference, according to the CDC, that suicides of people aged 10 to 24 years old have raised by 60% from 2007 and 2018. And what is the major difference in that time period? The rise of social media.
Yeah.
The rise of Snapchat and Instagram, and seeing everybody's, like, I can imagine like as a teen, I didn't grow up with that, but I can imagine what it's like right now. And like, especially in the past year, all we have is online. For like a whole year during the pandemic, a lot of us were just looking online. And that led to a lot of people feeling like they didn't thrive during the pandemic like some people, or comparing themselves and their struggling quarantine life to the what looks like success in other people's.
We have to remind ourselves that people only post their highlight reels of their life. And even when they're posting their vulnerable parts, they're posting the highlight reels of their vulnerable parts. So you're never truly seeing what the fuck people are going through.
You're not watching everyone's day-to-day struggles.
You're seeing what they want you to see. Just honestly, like if you think about it day-to-day, people only show you who they want you to see, too. They think they are who you think they are. So they're out here trying to be the person that they want you to see. Just remember that.
It's just projection. You're projecting, honestly, when you're looking at even someone's page or feed, you're projecting what you think their life is. And you're comparing that to something that might not even be real for them either. And the problem with nowadays is we're no longer just looking at TV and magazines and comparing ourselves to celebrities, but we're seeing regular quote unquote people who appear to not only have the perfect bodies, but perfect life full of travel, luxury, most of which is fake, edited, and put in a perspective that they intended you to have without the full picture. Mm-hmm. These pages were not curated by accident. They were made for a reason. They're made to make you feel like, oh, look at this life. Look at this beautiful life of luxury.
And no offense to influencers, but especially about influencers. You know, we idolize them. They inspire us in ways, but also they do tear us down a little bit because all we're seeing is this magnificent life that they live. When in reality, we don't know what goes on behind camera. And I was just listening to a podcast the other day, and she talks about how, Danielle, you've definitely listened to this podcast too. It's with Sahara Rose. And she talks about how in this photo, like, you know, it looks like a beautiful beach that she's been on and she's been relaxing. But she said, people don't know what's outside the frame. What's outside the frame was my kids were running around screaming. They wanted to leave and go get ice cream like I told them that was going to happen. When in reality, I'm sitting here trying to take this photo 1,000 times. My husband's getting frustrated. Like, there's so much more behind the frame and behind what we know than we're seeing.
Yes, and it's so easy to get caught up in the mind and the ego story that, wow, that's perfect. Wow, she has everything I don't. Wow, that person is so successful. And in truth, we don't know. And and especially in terms of influencers and people that run their business through social media, this is their business. Mm-hmm. They are hiring professional photographers. They are hiring professional videographers. They are hiring social media marketers that can totally make a page look so pleasing and perfect, and you're over here thinking that they're just scrolling Instagram doing that on their own. Like, that's just not reality. So here we are driving our whole entire self-esteem to the ground with images and lives that truly don't even exist. Not all of them, but really, like, I was fucking fooled by a CGI account the other day. I'm not kidding. Like, I thought this turtle was real, and I was over here like, damn, I wish I had a cool turtle like that. And then I scrolled down the page, and y'all, it was fucking fake. Like, a graphic designer made this page, and I was over here like, oh, wish that was my pet turtle. It wasn't even real.
No, seriously. And I had showed Danielle like a couple of weeks ago, like, that there's these, I don't know if you guys know about them. I found this on TikTok. Someone was talking about them, but there's like bots that we have. They're like influencer bots, and they portray everything that you probably see. I know. They portray everything that you would probably see in an influencer, yet they are pretty much like all technology, you know? Like, they're all made up bots. Like, but they're like, oh, how cute do I look? And rate me. And 1, 2, or 3. Which photo do you like? But like, they're actually, it's people behind the thing. But if you think about it, it's even more creepy because, like, who is the person behind this bot?
Yeah, and, like, I don't know. If you're not savvy to some of these, like, she said, and she showed me that account, and y'all, like...
It looks like a real person.
Yeah, it's so creepy. Like, it's not even like, oh, yeah, that's animation. Like, no, it actually looks like a full-blown real person, and I can imagine, if, like, you're not educated enough to know the difference, you could be catching yourself, like... Possibly comparing yourself to something that's literally drawn on a computer screen. And that's the world we live in right now. And our inner critic thrives on that shit. Like, our ego searches out these kind of problems so that it has a job to fix. So they can sit there and you can be hours deep in this fucking situation where you're just so feeling down and contractive and bad about yourself over something that could be completely fake and false and a narrative that you don't even know anything about. And it's just, that's why I love, like she said, that Melissa Ambrosini from that podcast she was talking about poses that question. Like, ask yourself, what may be beyond the frame? What imperfection is the camera showing if it was zoomed out? If it wasn't, and like, I know I'm guilty. I know someone listening here is guilty of like taking a mirror photo and cleaning the mirror real quick and cleaning whatever the photo actually shows, or clearing a space in my bedroom so that the
It looks clean.
clothes all over the floor aren't in the frame, or even like we talked about this earlier, like how to make a candid laughing photo by just faking your laugh until it looks real, and like getting the perfect, like, oh, look at us in the moment shot. And then like I could post that and someone else could turn around and be scrolling and be like, damn, she has friends that take all these fun photos and they're always having fun together, when in reality it was like, no, guys, please just take this photo with me real quick, and like I'll fake laugh. And like that's the reality of the world we live in. And so it's such a disservice, not only to ourselves, but to the younger generation, to sit here and like not have these kind of conversations where we talk about how dangerous this is, because you literally have young men and women like really struggling with the fact that their lives are the way they are, when in reality, like, we all have shit. We all have imperfections. Like, I've never personally used like Photoshop on my Instagram photos, but it shocks me what you can do with Photoshop and photoshopping videos. And like, these are the images we're looking at, and it's not a good look when we're trying to live up to something that is not possible.
Yeah,
yes,
it's unattainable
it's
aspect.
completely impossible. And when things aren't real and we're trying so hard to be these fake personas, then it's just not going to we're never going to be happy. We're never going to be satisfied, because we'll never reach that level of imperfection. Like, that's not how we're meant to be. We're all our own people. We're meant to live the life that was meant for us, our authentic self, our authentic beings. We're all striving to be ourselves, and that's what even comparisons brings out in you. It's trying to tell you, like, hey, you are capable. You are worthy of that same life, in a sense, and like,
but in your own aspect, you know, like,
exactly.
Catherine was just, I just did a module with her the other day, and I want to read this to you because this is kind of word for what she says. She says that life is about living our full expression, right? Like, but what is full expression? Full expression means you living your authentic truth, and the moment you live your authentic truth, the universe unlocks everything for you, because that is your connection to the divine. That is what spirituality is. It's reconnecting with yourself, knowing that you are the universe expressing itself in human form. And you come here to be nothing but the full expression of yourself. So whenever you live your authentic self fully, right? So you put your blinders on and you block out what everyone else is doing, because your life is supposed to be about you and no one else. Then you know, you get to reconnect with the divine, because that's what you were meant to do. You're here, a portion of the divine in your human form. You are it, just here on planet Earth. And it's beautiful to think about it that way, because it's like, you know, we all know that our higher self is just the source, right? God, universe, Allah, whatever you believe in, you are that person as well, or thing as well. But you're here on Earth getting to live this human experience, getting to experience all the lessons you're meant to learn here in order to understand that you are part of God. You are God as well. And you can do anything you want in this lifetime. You can manifest anything you want in this lifetime. So comparisonitis only holds you back from what you are fully supposed to do in this lifetime. So look within, because that's the only way you can look. That's the only way you're going to receive answers. That's the only way you're going to understand who you are and what you're supposed to do here. It's not by staring at everyone else around you. It's not by comparing person to person. It's comparing yourself with yourself. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be today? Who do you want to achieve to be? Who are you? You know, it's when you really got to ask yourself the hard questions that normally we don't really want to ask.
Absolutely. And you got to really look at what you're comparing. Is it even something that you can, like, especially in terms of like comparing bodies, you will never have the same body as someone else. You can't look at someone's body and be like, oh, I hate myself because I'm not just like her. You'll never be just like her. You'll never, him, whoever it is, you'll never be just like them. And you're already failing yourself by even comparing yourself to someone else's body, because it's one of those unattainable goals that we were just talking about. And so
Sahara Rose actually talks about this, and I feel like she gave us a really good perspective on this. She talks about how, I was looking at social media accounts that had this beautiful body over and over again, and I always fixated my mind on them. She tried to achieve those goals, just like the social media models, right? Then she started to realize that, I'm never going to get there. And what if, all this time I've been focusing so much of my time on everyone else's goals, on everyone else's body, when I should be focusing on my own time, on, my own life. And, how far could I get if I just focused on my own life?
Yeah, it's a lot of energy that is put into not only beating yourself up for not having this quality or what body, it's also energy put into trying to achieve something that you can't. And just full transparency, I've spent a large part of my life personally comparing my body of all number one thing to others, and it's kept me from enjoying my life, enjoying my body, enjoying the health I do have. And I was telling Dakota earlier, that when I lived in Hawaii, I stopped myself from doing beach trips, from doing hikes with certain people, from doing certain boat trips, from literally keeping myself from paradise because my body didn't match the majority of those around me. And at the time, it made sense to me to not go, to not do this, to not to hate myself so much that I didn't even deserve to be there next to these people. And now looking back, it's so much time wasted, not only energy, but experiences and opportunities and a path that, I don't know, my life people I could have met, or things I could have done, the experiences I could have cherished were given away because of me comparing myself to someone else. And it's now that we have to become aware of where we're comparing ourselves and accept that we are our own person, and really take the aligned action to live out our authentic selves no matter what around us, no matter who we are never going to compare to other people, because we shouldn't. And how to get out of comparisonitis is literally self-love, acceptance.
Validating yourself, because the only way you can truly meet those unfulfilled needs that you needed whenever you were younger, that's obviously what's coming up, is by meeting those needs as your adult self, is by validating yourself as you are now. Because the only person that can make you feel better is you. Everything that you have ever wanted is within you. And don't get me wrong, this shit's hard, right? We're talking about it it's blatantly easy, right?
No, dude, it's hard.
It is very hard. I still catch myself doing this. This is a normal thing. I think everyone does it every once in a while. For instance, I can even go back to same kind of situation with Danielle, body types. It's we grew up on the beach, so I would always be self-conscious about what I was wearing. I would always have the shirt on because all these girls in high school were skinnier than me or better looking than me. But to be honest, I was never fat. I just compared myself to the point of draining myself and never wanting to. I just got back into that loop over and over again. But you get into those loops where you don't want to stop. It's that negativity of aspects of oh no, I know this to be true, so I'm going to keep feeding it to myself. I'm feeding it to myself. Till you get to the point where you're enough is enough, and I should love me for me and who I am, and that's what it should be. But that is definitely one instance. And Danielle and I love that we come from similar but different backgrounds when it comes to that, because I am not I'm not a big girl.
She never has been.
No.
And she dealt with a lot of similar things and body issue that I did. And full transparency, I was obese. I was an overweight kid. I was too big for my age group in a sense. And I dealt with a lot of shit, but we grew up in a time period in the 90s and early 2000s and so on that was very hyper fixated on a certain body type, and it was thin and super thin. And I honestly, in terms of social media, I'm so grateful. I feel grateful for the kids that deal with body image now, because we have this movement and we see body types of all represented online, but it can still be dangerous to see certain body types and go down I am 30 years old and I've gone down the rabbit hole of someone's Instagram that led me somewhere else, and then all of a sudden I'm looking at these people and their big lives and I'm just like, damn, shit, the fuck am I doing with my life? I'm over here, I'm this, I'm that. And Dakota feels the pressure. She feels like she's 24 and should have everything figured out. And it's just like, we have to stop comparing our lives and our path and our journeys to the next person over, that we have no idea what they've been through, where they're at, or anything. And the more we practice our own inner work and our own inner healing and our own worthiness, that's where, first of all, whenever you focus on your own goals, your own daily routine and self-healing, the less time and energy you even have to be scrolling and doing a bunch of stuff and being online and taking the time to compare. And I feel like in our day and age, that's mainly where people are comparing, is when they get online and they start scrolling through the business and they're just like, damn, my life doesn't look like that. Mm-hmm. And no one is really talking about how it shouldn't look like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we sit here thinking that our life should be looking like that, instead of feeling like we should be switching the truth of comparing with compassion, because you should have compassion for yourself. Not only that, I'm going to bring in the shuffle community really quick because that's just what I'm in. Oftentimes we very much compare each other. We compare each other in a sense of, oh, you're all right, but you're not as good as me, right? Ego-wise. Or you're all right, but you're not as good as her. And really, like, why aren't we just coming with compassion? Like, hey, I can learn that move from you. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it looks not the sense that I want it to look. But instead of comparing what you're doing or comparing what they're doing with someone else, try coming with compassion, you know? Try coming with, wow, I've never thought of it that way. I could try it that way and I can learn something from you. Like, always be a student of life, because that's where compassion, like, stems, you know? Like, love yourself and love others so unconditionally that you have no time to feel like you need to be ugly or compared to other people. Like, your life is your own life and you should be living it for yourself and no one else. And, you know, why not raise each other up instead of tearing each other down? I'm not in the shuffle community like that as Dakota is, but I tell her all the time how, like, funny it is to me that out of all dances, like, it's so, like, kind of gatekeeped in a way, like, so and so you have to have, like, a certain talent or a certain move or be a Melbourne shuffler versus or cutting shapes versus shuffling. And, like, in other dance communities, it's y'all just dance and you're good or you're not. And, like, it's about, like, hey, like Dakota was saying, like, hey, that's a cool move, let me show you this move, let me teach you, or that was a little off, let me show you how you can be smoother in that, instead of being like, oh, they're not that good, why do they think they can post videos, why do they think I would, you know, like, yeah. Comparing is so ugly, and it doesn't come from compassion, whether you're doing it from the inside or you're comparing strangers to each other. Really, though, and, like, especially with the shuffle community, I'm going to bring this up one more time, because, like, this was a big instance. I know someone taught a tutorial, a couple people have taught, using the wrong word here, have taught tutorials and they have taught them wrong, according to the shuffle community. And, you know, instead of taking the time to reach out to that person and possibly being like, coming with compassion, coming with honesty, but compassion, and just being like, hey, you kind of taught that wrong, you know, you're supposed to do this, maybe sending them a video of how they're actually supposed to do it and the technicalities of what they're supposed to do. We come at them with, no, you're wrong and you fucked up and this is wrong and you're just shedding a whole bunch of wrong information to everybody and this is your fault and you're the reason why the community isn't growing. You're the reason why the community is growing wrong. When in reality, we should come with, hey, let me show you, you know, if you have a big following, let me show you maybe how you could be doing this a little better. You know, coming with full compassion, because that's what growing and learning in this life is about helping and inspiring others to do better, to be their full authentic selves in whatever way that needs to be. But we can't do that without each other.
And coming from that is also coming from, like, allowing yourself to see their perspective. Maybe they were taught that way and they really just didn't know the difference.
Exactly.
Maybe they learned a different way for a different reason, or maybe, you know, you never truly know. And unless you meet someone with compassion instead of judgment, then you'll never know. And it'll be your ego telling you the story that it wants to tell you about that person or yourself or whoever, that is just a projection in itself.
And if this has been you, come at yourself with compassion too, because you're only learning and growing as well.
Yes, we're all the best to our own awareness, and, like, you can't judge any decisions you made or how you can't judge yourself and have an inner critic over your comparisonitis. You have to just be like, I see you comparing. Let's break free of this. Mm-hmm. You're beautiful. You're worthy. And you're able to come from a different stance on it instead of this ugly, negative energy filled situation.
Yeah, especially because like when you sit down and you understand that your inner child is just literally your traumatized self from your younger age, like acting out on what you have been fed in the past, then you start to understand that you are still living that, and until you show compassion within yourself is when you'll start to grow and learn and act differently. So, talk to your inner child and see what's going on. What's wrong? Ask it the questions that seem fucking outrageously weird. Like, what are you needing from me right now? When you're comparing yourself, stop. Put your hand over your heart. Ask yourself, what is it that you're needing? And most of the time, it's going to tell you validation. It's going to tell you validation within yourself and what your life is going through and how your life is being perceived. A lot of the times we sit here and we want to judge ourselves, but all we really want is fucking to feel love and accepted and unconditionally, like, able to be whoever we want to be. And a lot of the times, like, if you think about it, when you were younger, you were probably, let me really quick backtrack. This is what inner child is. What we do is we turn up and down the dial. This is what I learned from Catherine. Shout out to Catherine. I love her if she ever listens to my podcast, our podcast. But it's about turning up and down the dial. So when you were younger and you were a child and you would act out and your mom or dad would be mad at you, or your parent would be mad at you, so you would turn down that dial and you would know not to do that because you would get in trouble. But say if you did things out of like, let's say getting good grades, or maybe it's being compassionate to someone, or it could be good in quote unquote bad things, then you would turn up that dial. So you go with that, living out your life. So anytime I feel that, maybe for instance, for me, it was hard for me to express my emotions when I was little because I was always seen as a crybaby or as, overly emotional. I would get shunned for it. I was told not to cry. I was made fun of by my family. I love you guys. I know you're probably listening to this. I love you guys, but that's just what happened with me. And so I would turn down that dial, leaving me to not wanting to express my emotions and act out in a way that I felt was reciprocated to what I was feeling. And instead, what I turned the dial up on was, validation within my grades, within me doing things that made my family proud, like, sports or A's or whatever it was, right? I would turn that dial up, even if it meant tormenting or like dismissing who I truly was. I was kind of explaining this to Danielle, actually. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. But as I grew up, I was always wanting to, turn up that dial of validation from my family. And that even meant like copying in like all of grade school, pretty much. Grade school and then college, honestly, I would copy. I feel like most people do this, don't get me wrong. But I would copy off of papers from people, but so much so where like I was copying so much just to get the grade and the recognition. Whatever. We know, what we're saying. What is the word? Recognition. There we go. Recognition from others that I would portray that I was doing good in a subject when in reality, I don't know what the fuck was going on. And I think that made me grow up as, honestly, actually, I didn't mention this to you, Danielle, but I grew up thinking I was dumb. I really did. I still sometimes struggle with that. I feel like I'm dumb because all I've ever done is copy from people, but that's also all I've ever known. I wanted so badly to be liked and validated by my family that's the dial I turned up. So all this to say that, ask yourself the questions that seem hard. What is it that you're needing? What is it that you felt in the past that that maybe I can fix, that I can help you with? What do you need validation in? What is it that you need me to say to you? And talk to yourself, and if that's like maybe your inner child is talking in your head and your adult self talks to it out loud, then let that be what it is. And yes, it is going to seem a little weird, but only then can you fully heal who you are. And this is an ongoing process, guys. This isn't a one and done.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. And like, I just last week, I spent a lot of my week in this, like, I've been overcoming a lot of my own shit right now and some personal stuff. And I spent last week, I got in this, and that's why I wanted to talk on comparisonitis so much, is because I found myself going down these rabbit holes of doing the same thing. And to piggyback off of what Dakota was saying, I always would look up to Dakota's like skills in school and would always be like, I wish I was as smart and school came as easy to me as it seemed to for her. And like, that just goes to show you, like, listen to her backside, and then me comparing myself to her when it wasn't even real. It was not saying she's not smart. She's extremely smart.
I also didn't copy on every subject, but it was a lot of, Google searching my answers or getting answers from other people or...
And if you see, that's what we're talking about. Like, you never know what the backstory is on someone. So really, like, you don't even know what you're comparing yourself to. Like, I didn't know what I was comparing. And not saying she's a great person, she's giving me nothing but inspiration, but we don't know everyone's full story. We don't know everyone's full view. No, and like she's saying, it's whatever you're sitting there in the comparison game, it is your inner child just begging for you basically to acknowledge something, heal something, ask it questions. It wants to get to know you. It wants to be held by you. You have to validate yourself. Mm-hmm. You have to find things within that you can own and let out and free.
Absolutely. And also just like understand that no matter what, like you have all you need within you, right? Especially the validation, especially the love, especially the worthiness. Okay? You are worthy within you just because you are here. I was in that same podcast I listened to. She says like 1 in 4 billion, trillion, gajillion. I don't know what she says. It's a long number, but she says 1 in like 4 trillion are the odds of us being born and put on this planet with like the sperm count and all that of like your parents, having sex, whatever.
You are you for a reason, baby.
You are you, and you were the chosen one to be here, and that's science, bro. So like, if you don't believe any of the shit that we're saying, at least believe science because. That's a miracle. You are a miracle. You are here for a reason. You're here to be your full, authentic self. So please fucking be that.
Yes. And again, easier said than done sometimes. It can be hard. And that's why there are things to do to ensure that either you can get out of the comparisonitis trap or that you fall into it less so than you do. And one of the number one pieces of advice I'm going to give right now is to put down your freaking phone. If you find yourself in a toxic comparison game, put down your phone after you delete the accounts that are giving you that. And here's the thing. We're all fed to believe that we have to follow everyone we love, all of our friends, but all these influencers. You do not have to follow anyone. Your account is your account. And if you find that you're constantly comparing in a toxic way or constantly feeling bad about yourself or constantly delete that person, unfollow that person, curate your own feed so that it brings you joy, compassion, education, motivation, inspiration. Like, make sure you set yourself up for success and not failure. If you're constantly picking up your phone and feeling bad about yourself, then what are you doing? Yeah. You don't have to be online. You don't have to be on social media.
And you don't have to be following those people. You really don't.
Absolutely not.
And if they inspire you, but they inspire you to the fact of you being like, oh man, I really wish I had that life. That's who you should be following.
Nope. And here's another thing, another side to that. It doesn't mean it's their fault. It doesn't mean they're bad people. It doesn't mean anything. It just means it's not good for you. It's not healthy for you. And you can love people from afar. Yeah. You can still be like, hey, dude, your content's cool. It's just not doing well for me.
You don't even feel obligated to say anything to them.
Absolutely
like, respectively unfollow.
Yes, absolutely. But also, like, just know that doesn't mean you're saying anything about them even in your mind. Like, you don't have to be ugly about it, but it's just not working for you, and that's okay.
Yes.
And that's not just online, but if you find you're in constant friendships that are like that, excuse yourself from those friendships. We have to start not only holding our own healthy boundaries with the people we hang out with, but recognizing when our energies and our vibes don't match with someone and recognizing that person's not good for you or healthy for you and that you're constantly comparing or they're constantly making you feel like you have to compare. And y'all, the hardest one I'm about to say is that this also goes for your fucking family members.
Whoop, whoop.
You do not have to be buddy with everyone in your family if it is not healthy for you. Your inner peace is so important. And if you don't have that, and if you don't have healthy boundaries with family members, it's another one of those things where you can love them from afar. Mm-hmm. And I just recently learned this, but it's been driving me nuts since I learned it. But the phrase, blood is thicker than water, actually comes from an older term that actually spells out, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, which is basically the exact fucking opposite of what people use it for. And it means that, like, the family you choose, the family you form later in life, the people that bring you happiness and joy and compassion, all those things we talked about earlier, that is thicker than the people you were born into. Now, the people you were born into could be those people for you. God bless you if that's you, like, praise be, because that's not something everyone has. But if you're one of those people that are constantly drained by your family members, constantly put down, constantly feeling like you have to compare to your brothers and sisters and all these cousins and uncles or whatever, basically what I'm saying is, no matter who this person is, it's your choice. Your life is built by you. No one else should give you outside info. Build a crew, build a family, build a team that honors you and lifts you up, not down. And even if you're doing it to yourself, love these people from afar. You don't have to burn these bridges and be like, fuck you, like, but you can just politely you know what?
Excuse yourself, yeah.
This isn't good for my mental health or my inner peace. I constantly felt brought down. This person isn't right for my everyday life.
And if you don't feel like you want to be confrontational, and you can just not say anything, just do that for you, and that's okay too.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not saying you have to go tell all these things, but just have a conversation with yourself, your own person, and be like, look, this isn't working for me. I'm constantly in a negative mindset. I'm constantly comparing myself. I'm constantly doing this, and it's toxic for me. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to do this. Sometimes it's people you love so much. Sometimes it's accounts you followed for a long time, but there comes a time when we have to make decisions that benefit our health and our mental state, because it's not healthy to be constantly comparing yourself to other people. It's not right. It's not how we live. It's not how we want to be living. It's not how we find our true authentic being, because a lot of times, if I know for me, when I'm comparing, then I want to mold myself to someone else's path, someone else's journey. Mm-hmm. Like, I want that. No, like, that's not even what I want. Sometimes I'm literally doing that to people. I don't even want their life. I'm just all of a sudden feeling bad about mine.
I do that all the time. Well, I won't say all the time, but I've done that very often, where I feel like I've gone for something that I don't even feel like I wanted within myself. I just felt like it looked cool out on the outside world. So I'm like, oh, I want to do that too, Then I get there, I do that thing, and I'm like, what the fuck? This isn't even what I want to be doing.
Where am I?
I want to really quick backtrack, and I really got to do this real quick because, man, I love my friends, and the recent friends that I definitely have right now that I've met in Dallas. You guys have lifted my soul up more than you will ever know. I feel like the words don't even explain how happy and how appreciative I am of you guys, because I've never had friends that are actually there for me, aside from Danielle. Danielle doesn't count. Never had friends who are actually like there for me, actually care for me, actually invite me to things, actually want me to be involved in everything just everything that they're doing, like they actually truly care about me. And you guys know who you are. We were at the pool last weekend. Oscar, Danny, Ashley, Tony, all you guys. I love you guys so much, and I appreciate you more than you fucking know, man. But thank you for, being my family. You're not even just my friends. You're my family, and you're exactly what I needed while I've been here away from my real family. So just thank you. I just wanted to add that.
And that is exactly when it happens when you follow the people that are meant for you and really lean into friendships that are worthwhile instead of being concerned about others in the realm of things. Like, if they're not putting forth effort, it's got to be a two-way street. And in forms of like living a high vibe, the people you surround yourself are a big part of that. You want to match their energies and match their vibrations. And the higher vibe you are on, the higher frequency on, the less you're going to compare anyways, because that is a low frequency vibe. That's a low frequency thought process. That is a process that comes out of lack mindset. Everything is abundant, including all the things you want in life are yours. Mm-hmm. You can get them. So there's no need to compare it to the next door neighbor, because once you start doing that, that means you feel like because they have it, you can't, or because of this, you can't. That's not true.
Here's another beautiful thing that Danielle often tells me is that rejection is God's redirection. So anytime you feel like, oh, I can't have this thing or it's not working out for me, well, guess what, buddy? Maybe you're supposed to go another way and just trust that and trust the universe and understand that you are unique in your own freaking way. So live that life. Live the life you're supposed to be living.
Yes, absolutely. And so just know that, one, you're probably not going to just free yourself of comparison. It's going to come up. We're all going to experience it from time to time. It's going to be a quick mindset shift. And that's all it takes, is just learning to shift your mindset and learning to feed yourself high vibe things. Listen to high vibe music. Listen to...
Go dance.
Yes, dance. Release energy. That's another very beautiful thing she just brought up. I don't have the word for it that I was looking for, but if you're in the middle of a comparison, like on your phone, put your phone down, get up and shake it out. Dance, run around, move your body.
I don't care what it
move
is. Do some
your
karate,
body. Do some karate.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever you got to do, just freaking do it. But I know with me, something that always raises my vibe, even when I don't feel like it, is dancing, man.
Mm-hmm. She's right. Like, that's another... The more we stay on high vibe, the less we are likely to shift down. And in that is also learning to hush up your inner critic. If you catch your mind going to the position of, oh, she's so pretty, I could never... No, sorry, we're not taking that call today.
Because you're beautiful, too.
I'm beautiful. Yeah. Say to yourself, like, sorry, no, we're not taking the phone call today for my inner critic. We're only listening to my higher self. Get acquainted with your higher self thought. The thought behind the inner critic. The person that's witnessing that thought is who you are. It's not that thought. So be quick to shut that down as soon as you can. And move, raise your vibe.
Take a deep breath. Sometimes it's just taking breaths, walking outside, being in nature, whatever raises your vibe for you. But also know that the first step is awareness. So try and take a step back and realize, like, what is it here that I'm doing to myself? Am I diminishing, like, my thought process? Am I hiring my vibe right now? Am I comparing, or am I inspired by this person? And really just be aware of that. The next step is just, then if you're doing the negative aspects, then go move your body. Go do something that's better for you. And lastly, just like love yourself. Absolutely.
Yes.
She actually gives a arse, but I can't remember the word.
Self-love is number one, and that is practice. It takes so much practice and inner work to really come from a full self-love position. And the more you practice that, it's crazy the difference, because I have been at one end of the spectrum and now a different end of the spectrum, and I couldn't even tell you what self-love was literally 2 years ago. I just wouldn't have been able to even wrap my head around that. But the more work you do, and the more you integrate your shadows and learn from these moments of going down the rabbit holes, and the more you take and ask yourself those questions, man, the more you're really going to learn about yourself, the more you're going to come to terms and acceptance of who you are, and being completely in love with who you are right here in this moment, every step of the journey, every way, because you're never going to be at the same awareness level. You're going to keep growing forward. That's what we all can hope for, at least. And the more you grow, the stronger your inner twist, your inner love gets for yourself, and the less and less and less you weaken these patterns. Yeah, you weaken these patterns of comparison and being sucked into your phone, because, man, our phone can be such a tool if we allow it.
And it's not just our phone, It could be just you walking around and seeing someone else's life, or you imagining, because I know oftentimes, I was always coming from a place of, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do that, because I'm comparing my life with society's, and, that's not even what I wanted.
Yeah, big facts there. It could come from anywhere, and it's just about really stepping into your own self and learning where like she said, being really aware of what things make you go down those darker paths more often. Yeah, if it's your phone, if it's when you're out at a certain bar or place, and
it's when you're drinking, if it's whatever you're doing, dude, just maybe if it's not fully stopping that thing, maybe take a step back a little bit, take it with ease, do it a little bit until it's not something you have to do anymore.
And there's actually a tool that I want to share with you guys that can maybe help you in a situation, and It's about positive projection. So if you have a moment, whenever you're finished with this, take out a journal or a piece of paper and pick 3 people that you kind of idolize or that inspire you, or, you know, just 3 people that you really look up to in a sense. It can be anyone famous, your best friend, whoever, your mom, your dad, doesn't matter. Pick them out. And then write down for each one of those people individually, write down what qualities that you are attracted to, and what is it about them that you inspires you. And then sit with yourself for a minute and get really quiet with yourself and sit. And once you have those things written down about each person, go down each one of those person's qualities and ask yourself, where in my life do I show this quality? Where in my life do I know that this is within me? And don't just like sit with yourself, really get quiet and like write it out. And I guarantee you're going to find a moment where you were like that. You're going to find a moment or some kind of part you're like, damn, I was really confident in this moment. And I was really, you know, I actually do show a lot of confidence if that's your thing. Or I actually am very trustworthy in these ways. Whatever it is you picked out, like I did this exercise with my coach, and it had me in tears because I just had never owned those parts of myself. But I got honest with myself and really was like, damn, these things that I look so up to in these people that I, in quote unquote, idolize in a sense, like I have all of those qualities within me. It's a positive projection. People like you spot it, you got it. Like I said,
Seriously.
like we have to start owning these beautiful qualities that we have, because we do. We are all so worthy, and we're all so much more than we give ourselves credit for.
And I just want to like take a second to also talk about, you know, that this journey, right? This whole journey of spirituality and understanding yourself better and loving yourself more, it's not easy. And a lot of people on social media want to portray it that it is. And it's not. We know that now, right? We're all here because we feel that and we understand that. So like anytime you see someone in an aspect of manifesting everything that they've ever wanted in their lives, it's because they've done the inner work and they've done all the hard work, that, quote unquote, right? Hard work that we are doing now. And I just want you to show compassion with yourself as you go through this. And please don't give up, because time is precious, man. Time is so freaking precious. And I can stand for that. And the people that I've lost and the people that I've loved, and not lost, you know, their energy goes on forever, but it just, time is precious, and you literally never know when the last day is going to be your day. Like, you really don't. Tomorrow could be your last day, and did you live your life to full potential? Or did you stand back comparing yourself to everyone else's? Live your life for you, because that's literally the only thing that you personally have, is this human form, this human expression that you get to live.
Absolutely. And be non-judgmental, because it's going to be it's not a linear process. You're not going to get this episode and be like, oh, okay, I'm never going to fall into these traps again. Absolutely not.
It's a lifelong process.
It is, and it's up and it's down, and there will be times where I know from my own journey that I feel like I'm regressing, that I'm going backwards in it, and all of a sudden, like, all the healing and growing I've done is nowhere
out the window.
Yeah, and I'm like, what the hell? I have gone down dark, long TikTok dives where all of a sudden I'm like, damn, I just spent 3 hours doing the comparison game, and I thought I was past this, but that's not what it is. You're not just going to heal overnight. You're not just going to get all this information and run with it.
And it's never going to go away, just to let you know.
Absolutely.
It's never going to go away. It's going to keep coming up for you. It maybe not come up as much, and you may be able to shut it down a lot more, but it's never not going to come up. Like, don't ever feel like it's just going to poof, gone.
But that's what we're working towards. We're looking towards where we can get in a 30 minutes and be like, oh, no, get up and start dancing and get back on that high vibe state and be like, okay, I'm going to start fresh from here.
It's almost like the faster awareness, right?
Yeah,
like you're more faster with being aware of what you're doing, and so that you change your direction. You redirect in the way you're supposed to go.
Every time we are aware of a pattern, we weaken it. Mm-hmm. So just keep that in mind as you do this work. If you get frustrated with yourself, just come to yourself with compassion, non-judgmental love, and unconditional love. Like I was saying, just
you are worthy, you are enough, and you have all you need within you. Please just remember that you were created here special and unique, and you are here to be you and no one freaking else. So that's literally all I have to say on this episode. I love you, and if you have anything else to say to us, please let us know.
Yes, same. This episode was great. I know it's something that we can all really relate to, and, you know, really hope that y'all can get something out of this message and that it helps you in some way or form. We love you guys. As usual, your support means the world to us each and every week. We just honestly are more and more, we feel the love more and more. So really, guys, thank you. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for listening and being part of this process. We are so grateful to have you guys alongside this journey with us. If you resonated with this episode, please share it on your platforms and tag us at Detox Your Habits. We would love to hear your insight and any downloads you received when listening today. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast and leave a review letting us know what you'd like to hear next.